Bitcoin and Xverse, two of the most exciting forces on the blockchain. What happens when these two converge? Hello, I'm Uche. Welcome to another exciting episode of Starknet Espresso. Today, we are sitting down with Jan from Xverse, the team behind the leading Bitcoin wallet in the whole ecosystem. We'll discuss Bitcoin's evolving role in DeFi, its integration with Starknet, and the role of Xverse in all this. Let's dive right in. All right, welcome, Jen, to Starknet Espresso, and I'm very happy to have you here on the show.
Thank you so much, Uche. I'm super happy to be here. Obviously, always happy to jam. You know, we started working together recently, and I'm just super excited about it.
Thank you. Very good to have you here. So let's just kick things off. I would love you to introduce yourself to our audience and maybe tell us a little bit about your background and how you got in with Xverse.
Yeah, well, it's probably a long story, so I will try to cut it short. But, you know, my name is Jan. I am with Xverse. I have been with Xverse for the past basically 3 years. And, you know, what I do at Xverse is I focus on business growth, partnerships, you know, all these different kind of crazy things. And, you know, I actually started with Xverse and I was also doing a lot of product, you know, back then, because we didn't really have like a you know, a product manager that we have today or head of product. Back then, we were still very, very tiny team. And we have all been hustling and trying to build a great product. But yeah, like I've been with the company for about 3 years. And how I got into Xverse is actually an interesting story. I've been in startups for the past decade. So I've been always building different companies, either my own small companies or helping other people to scale their other businesses in many different fields. And so I really love technology. I really love new things. I've always been excited about learning and, you know, just kind of exploring where we are headed, you know, in terms of tech in general. And I think in 2017, I got first into Bitcoin. I actually didn't buy that much. I was just like, hey, this is interesting. I should buy a little bit. So I opened my Coinbase account and I bought a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. And basically, yeah, like just kind of started I cannot say I started my crypto journey back then, because I literally just bought a couple coins and then I kind of closed it and didn't really care, because I felt like in 2017, I wasn't really ready to go into crypto all in, just because, you know, again, like I was like working on other things in just startups and tech. And I felt like, yeah, that was the most exciting thing that I could have done at that moment. And so I didn't really consider switching industries. But then I think in 2021, things kind of shifted, because I've started to see a lot more very, I would say, respected friends of mine that have been building businesses in Web 2 or, you know, just in general building startups. And they started to pivot more and more into Web 3. And so I was like, hey, I need to learn even more about this. I need to like try, you know, what are these NFTs all about? What are these other things all about? And so basically started to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, that's kind of like when I would say started really going deep the rabbit hole of crypto. And then, yeah, one thing led to another. One of my friends, Trevor Owens, who is also an investor in Xverse and who is also an investor in many other Bitcoin startups, he introduced me to the founder of Xverse. At the time, again, the company was still very small. You know, we're kind of like looking at the Bitcoin ecosystem from many different angles, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do next? And so I kind of felt it was exciting, because I like to build products. I like to build things that a lot of people can use and get value from. And so to me, it was a no-brainer that I would look at a wallet or an infrastructure company as kind of my first choice in crypto. And yeah, so ended up basically joining the team because I was really excited about the team, about the product, and also the vision that Bitcoin is going to change. Even though, of course, at the time, we didn't know that ordinals are going to happen. We didn't know that Bitcoin L2s are going to be the next big thing, let's say 2 years from then. But I kind of felt like there was something in it, like I felt like Bitcoin
Yeah.
ecosystem is going to do something interesting. And I had the gut feeling and I was like, okay, let's go. And basically the rest is history. And it has been one of the best decisions that I could have made. And I'm obviously super excited to be building Xverse right now.
Oh wow, it's I would say it's a fascinating journey that you've had so far. Very interesting one, and I would say to commend you guys on Xverse. I think there's over 1 million users on Xverse now, which shows the progress that you guys have made in such a little time. So I mean, kudos to you guys. A wonderful job
Thank
you
you
guys
so
are
much,
doing.
man. I
Yeah,
really appreciate it. I mean, we got to keep working hard, We got to
true, true.
we got to stay humble and we got to keep hustling because there is so much more to build.
Yeah, true, true. What would you say is the commission for driving Xverse forward? What would you say is the commission?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple, right? Again, that goes back to when Ken started the company about 4 years ago, and then about 3 years ago when I joined the company. Again, the mission has always been the same. The mission or vision of the company is really enable this Bitcoin economy to grow, right?
Yeah,
So building a great product that allows people to get easily onboarded into the Bitcoin ecosystem that obviously includes Bitcoin L1, Bitcoin, meta protocols like ordinals and runes and BRC20s and many others, and obviously L2s like Starknet, right? So that
yeah,
has always been kind of our plan. That's kind of like, yes, it sounds kind of strange right now, right? Because right now it's kind of a accepted thing, right? This is like,
yeah,
yeah, this is common. Like in the Bitcoin ecosystem, there's a lot of L2s and there's a lot of these approaches to how we can scale this ecosystem. But man, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, everybody thought that we are just lunatics, that we are
true.
just
Yeah,
stupid, even thinking that this could be a thing. Because I remember having those conversations again, like 2.5 years ago with investors and telling them that like, hey, like Bitcoin ecosystem is going to have a vibrant, ecosystem of builders and community
yeah,
of builders, and that we're going to have these assets like ordinals and meme coins and tokens. And everybody thought like, no, that's never going to happen, that's never going to scale because the Bitcoin maxis are not going to allow it and they're going to be against
yeah,
it. And yes, they were against it, but they couldn't stop it just because, again, like, this is permissionless network and we're not breaking any rules, we're just doing
yeah.
Bitcoin transactions, right? And so it is very interesting when I'm looking back, thinking about our vision back then and vision today that is basically, again, exactly the same. How do we grow this Bitcoin economy, this Bitcoin ecosystem, and how do we build great products and great infrastructure to allow for that growth to happen? And now it's kind of coming to fruition, and we see a lot of more
Yeah.
builders coming in and raising a lot of money and building different applications and protocols and L2s. But man, 4 years ago, everybody thought we were stupid, It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it always starts like that because a lot of people don't see
Yeah.
the potential, right? But I mean, you guys were able to spot it on time, and it means like for now, I mean, you guys are riding along with the flow because everything seems to be aligning at the moment.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, I agree with you. It kind of starts like that, not only in crypto, but in any industry, right? At the
Yeah,
beginning,
yeah,
people think that you're foolish trying to do something different, right? Trying to look at things differently. But if you persevere and if you obviously build a great product that brings a lot of people value, then of course, like at some point they're gonna cave and they're gonna be like, okay, you were right,
true.
guys. Like it's time to jump in, right? And so again, I've seen it in Web2, I've seen it in different startups, I've seen it in different investments that I have made in my professional career or in my life. And this is no different, and I like it. I like the fact that people doubt you, people, are like, yeah, maybe, like you guys need to prove us, that this thing is real. Like, we need more validation. It's totally okay. Like, this
Yeah,
is actually a good sign, like people are already paying attention. And yes, you got to keep building, you got to build a great product, but that's just what it is, what it takes. Like, you cannot expect that you can succeed without having a great product at the first place. So like, I'm totally fine with that it takes time. You got to be patient. And I'm happy. I'm happy to prove people wrong. I
Sure,
enjoy that
sure.
feeling.
It makes it a lot more sweeter when you eventually get to the right. Yeah.
Exactly. And it makes it
Yeah.
exciting, right? Like not everybody is going to win. Not everybody is going to succeed. And I think, again, it's startups. So most of the startups fail. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate,
True.
but it is what
True.
it
True.
is. And so again, I'm very, very used to this idea. I'm very used to operating in this kind of environment. But yeah, man, if you manage to succeed, if you manage to win, even to some extent, man, it's so satisfying, It's so
Yeah.
satisfying,
Yeah. So, I want to talk about ZK Rollup and Starknet for a while. So Starknet initially
Well, you have
started
to
out.
educate me, You have to educate me
Oh,
about that because, you're definitely much more plugged in. I'm still learning.
yeah, yeah, true. So Starknet's validity rollup, people call it ZK, but on Starknet it's called validity rollup. Is basically about having to prove the computation, and it's verified on the L1. So on Ethereum the computations are verified, and this makes it a lot more easier for the verifier, which makes transactions cheaper and the transactions fast too. So I don't know if you know, in Ethereum L2 ecosystem, Starknet has the highest TPS. So that's
Nice.
something, and it's
Yeah.
made possible because of the ZK rollup approach that they've taken. So I guess the question is, they started out with Ethereum, and now Starknet is expanding towards Bitcoin now. Why did you guys choose this partnership or this integration with Starknet at this time?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. I think, at the end of the day, you know, I guess there is no simple answer to that, but I will try to like make it as understandable as possible. At the end of the day, you know, again, it's about long-term vision, right? It's about like we know that it's going to take time to build this, right? So, we have been building for the past almost 4 years, and we're still kind of in a position where we're just scratching the surface, right, of
Yeah,
what's possible in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And even for what Starknet wants to do, the ideal world would mean that soft work has to happen on Bitcoin, right? We need to get opcat, we need to get
yeah,
a new opcode into the Bitcoin core. And so again, that stuff, again, is it going to happen? I believe so. I think it's going to happen. It has to happen. Does opcat needs to happen? I don't know, but like soft forks in general on Bitcoin do have to happen from time to time because otherwise it's just it has happened in the past and it will continue to happen in the future. How and when, I don't obviously know. I don't have the crystal ball. If I had, I would probably be already a very rich man, but I have
yeah,
that belief that it will continue to happen. And so again, to my earlier point is that it just takes time, right? It takes time to make these things happen.
yeah,
You are not in full control of many of those things happening. And so you have to work with teams that have that long-term vision, that are not going to give up after
yeah,
6 months when something doesn't go exactly the way they planned, right? And so we have that state of mind. We are a very resourceful team. We're still a relatively small team, but we have done a lot of things in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think even to this day, we have built pretty good and sustainable business, meaning that we know we can keep building for the years to come. And we are basically looking for partners that have the same mindset. Also, they have the resources to keep going, and plus they're strong technically enough that they can actually make a difference. They can actually build something that is unique, that is really transformational, that is really leveling up the game when it comes to scalability, programmability, and stuff like that. And I think that's exactly what Starknet has, right? On one hand, it's a big company that has a lot of resources. It's a company that has been hustling and building since, I know Ellie, since like 2013 or maybe even before that. He has been in Bitcoin and he has been talking about Bitcoin. He has been like researching and building and built many different protocols and basically even like built new paradigms in crypto, right? And so that's really awesome, right? Because we know that this team is technically strong and is going to continue to innovate. And so again, I know it's a longer answer, but I think it's very important because this is kind of like what matters, for especially
sure.
us in the Bitcoin ecosystem, because we're still at the very beginning. It's going to require patience, and it's going to require a lot of innovations to get to the point where we want to be eventually.
Yeah, true. And just to reiterate a bit of a point on what you said, Starknet also invested $1 million into the research of OP cards, and basically to see what the benefits
Yes.
or the risks are. So I mean, they are really invested in how how
Yeah,
this goes forward.
I spoke with Ellie, right? I did a podcast with Ellie, which I think we're gonna publish it very soon. We just had like a casual conversation together in Hong Kong when he visited Hong Kong a couple weeks ago, and we talked exactly about that. I think another thing that made me very bullish on this partnership, just kind of from a, I would say, business standpoint, right, is that yes, like you see the conviction, right? You see that Starknet is basically betting, if not the entire company, then let's say half of the company on Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty quote unquote crazy thing to do, right? Like if you have like a, $500 million or $1 billion protocol that, has been around for a while and now is basically saying, yeah, we're going to bet the future on Bitcoin, and that's awesome. I mean, it's awesome to hear, but it's also pretty risky from the perspective of the business, right? If it doesn't work out, then what? Like you kind of, you wasted a lot of resources, or like maybe you kind of like put your company in a pretty vulnerable spot. And so again, like I like it as an entrepreneur, as a fellow builder, you have to have a conviction, right? And so, they show conviction in not only the narrative, but also putting the money where their mouth is, right? And so, that's the same with me. Like I was just discussing this with like my friend this morning. I was having a breakfast and we're just talking about like the Bitcoin assets and like how it's going to grow. And this, like, I am definitely in a sense pretty much all in when it comes to Bitcoin ecosystem. Like I buy Bitcoin and then I buy some other assets with my Bitcoin. And so I really believe in this thing to succeed, that it's going to succeed, because if I didn't believe in it, I probably wouldn't put majority of my money into this ecosystem, right? Not only with building a product and like investing my entire time and basically 18 hours a day trying to build a product, but also like taking the money that I earn and just like putting it back into the ecosystem, right? And so I have an absolute level of conviction. And obviously, I think you have to be in that mindset as a builder, because otherwise, why would you even be here if you don't believe in it? And I feel like Starknet and Ellie and basically the founding team, or like the executive team, I think they're in the same position in this regard. Like they're very convinced that like this is the way to go. And yeah, I think that's very healthy in terms of just being a builder. You have to have a conviction. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Great. And the funny thing is, funny or serious thing is, I had a conversation with the marketing manager of Starknet recently. I think that was 2 days ago. And she was talking about how they are all in on the Bitcoin integration. It's massive in the company. And I think that's what would you say, their primary focus at the moment.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, like I'm still learning about Starknet, and kind of trying to figure out more about the ecosystem, because again, like we have always been focused on Bitcoin. And so before we started having conversations with Starknet about this integration, to be frank, I didn't pay that much attention. I was just like really laser focused on everything Bitcoin and the Bitcoin layers that we supported before. But, man, like I can see it very clearly, man. We have been working together for past couple months, like talking and exploring different things. I can definitely see that the team is very bought in. The team is very focused on Bitcoin. They reach out to me from time to time. They keep asking really cool questions. They want to interact with our community, to get feedback from the community, to see what kind of products to build and how to improve the products that currently exist in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So yeah, man, I agree with you. I think the Starknet community and the Starknet team is very heavily focused on Bitcoin. And that's great. That's what we as Bitcoin builders want to see.
Yeah. Great. So for users on Xverse and for Starknet users that are going to come in as a consequence of this partnership, what are they expecting to see? What is the so I'm looking at Xverse because I just recently downloaded the wallet on my
Let's
system.
go.
Yeah, of course, that's what so I'm looking
Let's
at it.
go.
What does it mean for users, especially for those that has been on Xverse and for Starknet users that are coming into Xverse now? What they expect? What kind of operations are they going to be looking at when they get into Xverse?
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, the answer is very simple. We're gonna fully support Starknet, right? So obviously, it's gonna take us, as I said, like maybe 2 months ago, right? So we're like heavily, investing in it. Some of our engineers, they learned Starknet, so they're learning. They're very passionate about it. They like it. They think that there's a lot of potential. Plus, we hired a bunch of new engineers that are fully just focused on Starknet, and so we're heavily investing in the underlying infra and like building that wallet support. So long-term vision is that basically you're going to be able to do everything that you're used to doing on Starknet. You're going to be able to do it with Xverse. Obviously, again, it's going to come in stages, so it's going to take us time to get there. But at the same time, we are the number one Bitcoin wallet in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So if you download Xverse and you want to do something with Bitcoin today, you can basically do whatever you want because we are the wallet that has the best support, that is integrated with every single Bitcoin application that, either is DeFi or it's staking or, it's just trading ordinals or runes or some sort of like AMM experience on the L1. Like we have all of that already. And so
Yeah,
if you're coming in as a Starknet user and you want to kind of start learning about the Bitcoin ecosystem, get Xverse, put a couple $100, couple $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, whatever, you can afford to lose, meaning that, if you're just learning about these
yeah,
applications on Bitcoin, I always say that you should be kind of, mindful of the fact that maybe you
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
exactly how it behaves, right? And so I think, that would be my recommendation, but you should definitely start, learning about the Bitcoin ecosystem. And then eventually, once we have that full support, by the way, we are going to have some initial support of Starknet in Xverse Live probably in a few weeks from now. So it's
Oh,
really
wow,
immediate thing. So like, it's
wow,
not that like, oh yeah, you're going to have to wait for 8 months to see something. No, like we are in it, we are grinding, and it's going to happen in the next few weeks where we're going to launch some initial support of just Starknet and Starknet tokens and stuff like that. But, eventually, once we have everything else built out around it, you're going to be able to connect to applications. You're going to be able to do everything. You're going to be able to bridge in and out, right? Like from
yeah,
Bitcoin to Starknet, and then you're going to see the Starknet tokens in Xverse, and you're going to be able to trade them, and you're going to be able to do all of these different things. Again, it's going to take us a couple months, but we're going to get there. And yeah, like, if you're a new user, just get it, download the wallet, get used to it, give us feedback. I think that's also very important, right?
yeah,
We're so open to feedback. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to understand how you would like to use the product. What do you think we're missing? So if there's anything that, you think a perfect wallet should have,
yeah.
like, please do let us know because, we do want to build the best product out there, just period.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just my recent, what would you say, my early interaction with Xverse, I've noticed is basically I can change my Bitcoin assets to Starknet directly. So bridging, I think that's one thing that I've noticed on the early stages, which is something that is huge, something that is
Yes.
really huge. And of course, we're expecting more to,
I
more
think it's a great
integrations of this.
unlock, right? I
Oh, you
think
can,
it's a great unlock because at the end of the day, right now, like, yeah, the Bitcoin L1 experience for trading tokens is not the best, right? Because it's slow, sometimes it can feel a little bit clunky. And so, I mean, I love Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin L1. I am happy to wait for 10 minutes. I'm happy to kind of go through these like kind of pains in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I don't mind. But I also do understand that there's a lot of people that don't like it. There's a lot of people that just want to have fast transactions and, trading experience. Excuse
yeah,
me. And so that's exactly like what we're trying to solve with like if you can bridge to a layer like Starknet that allows for a lot of transactions and quick transactions. then yeah, maybe we can build a better trading experience using that, right? And so that could be an interesting unlock. But there's going to be so much more, man. I think it's not just about trading meme coins. It's really about DeFi, it's payments. It's like there's like so much that can be done once you have like fast transactions, right?
Yeah, true, true. I mean, I believe we haven't scratched the surface of what is possible when it comes to opportunities that this is going to open up for the whole ecosystem, both for L1s and L2s. It's going to be a massive opportunity, I see.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Yeah. You're a very, very prominent name in ordinals, right? I know you have the ordinal show. And so the question is, how does Starknet play into ordinals? Are there going to be integrations with ordinals?
Well, of course, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're already looking at some applications where you could basically bridge your even ordinals and the Bitcoin assets into the Starknet layer. And then there are people that are building AMMs. There are people that are building, different kind of experiences. So again, like at the end of the day, ordinals are Bitcoin assets. And I think they should stay kind of on Bitcoin, meaning that if you just want to hold that piece of art or some very valuable JPEG or whatever, I think the fact that it's on L1 is fucking amazing, right? Because it's on the most decentralized, more secure chain, etc. And it's cool. And you're okay to wait for 10 minutes if you need to send it from one address to another. Like you're not necessarily under time pressure if you're selling something for a couple thousand or maybe even tens of thousands of dollars, right? But then I think where it becomes interesting with the L2 side of things is that you can actually build some really cool applications around it, right? So maybe you don't want to sell your JPEG, but you want to borrow against it. You want to put it into DeFi. You want to do a lot of different things that are probably better to be built on the L2 because it allows for a lot more stuff than the L1, right? And so, yeah, I really think we can integrate everything. I mean, we can integrate Bitcoin as the underlying asset, and we can bridge it, and we can bring it to DeFi. We can do a lot of different things. We can borrow land against it, whatever it is, right? So that's one. But we can also do it with those assets like ordinals, And so definitely another way how I kind of see ordinals, right? Because people look at ordinals and obviously it's JPEGs, right? But also it's community, right? It's really a passionate community of people that were here at the very beginning, at the birth of this new movement. And there's many of these people that are builders themselves, and they're always looking for cool new technologies that they can leverage to build some really cool applications, And so that integration with, let's say, Starknet specifically can be that there are going to be some ordinals builders that will go and build some really cool stuff on Starknet that maybe wasn't possible or was too clunky to build on the L1. And so that's another way how the integration with the ordinals ecosystem is going to look like.
Yeah. I mean, like we said before, great opportunities lies ahead, and I'm super excited about what is coming up or what we're going to see in the future. Super excited. One thing I was going to mention, there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists that would argue that Bitcoin is perfect the way it is. Why are we trying to mess it up? What would you say to those skepticism?
Well, I definitely, I respect that opinion, right? I think, at the end of the day, there are many different types of people and many different types of users, right, in the world. There's not just one type. And so I definitely respect that opinion that some people just want to buy their Bitcoin. They want to store it in cold storage. They want to own their keys so that they are fully sovereign individual. And they just really don't want to do anything else. And that's totally okay. I would argue that it's good to have a discussion. We are not advocating for any changes on Bitcoin that are going to be done too quickly, that are going to be done without proper research, that are going to be done in just kind of like a lazy manner that just like 5 ordinal traders want to get soft fork of Bitcoin. We should do it. Of course not. I mean, this stuff should be talked about exactly the same way that it has happened in the past. In the past, we have had multiple soft forks of Bitcoin, And those soft forks didn't happen overnight, or at least majority of them. They were discussed for months and years. They were properly tested and stuff like that. And so again, like, I think that the discussion is good and it's healthy. The fact that people have different opinions is healthy, because we should keep each other in check. But at the same time, we should allow for that conversation to happen. That doesn't mean that we should push and we should make sure that there is 10 soft forks per year on Bitcoin, but at the same time, just blocking it because you don't like it, that is not productive, right? And so I really think, like, to those people, if you ask me, like, what is my message, I just hope that we can kind of coexist and we can have a argument, we can discuss things, we can debate, and we can let the broader community to decide, because it's not just about one person. It's not about one community. It's not about the ordinals, degens. It's not about the Bitcoin maxis. It's really about the broader community of Bitcoin holders and Bitcoin users. And we need to find some sort of compromise to move forward. And so I just hope that we can have a great dialogue, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, great message to everybody. I think this works out. Even in the community, society at large, I mean, it works better that way when you're able to have conversations and make decisions based on consensus. So I think this is a good message to everybody.
Totally.
So, yeah. One thing I want to mention is I see what you guys are doing with Starknet, and I imagine there's been a lot of challenges along the road. What has those challenges been? And I can tell you guys are scaling past through it, but what's been the biggest challenge?
To be honest, like, it has been pretty smooth, so far, just because, again, I think we're on the same page. We're kind of aligned how we see the future of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin economy and the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so that really makes things easier, because, again, we share the vision, and, yes, we will continue to have a discussion along the way, but so far it has been pretty smooth. And yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge from our side, is always like, we want to build the best product. We want to do things right. And that means that sometimes we need to take extra couple weeks, and, we need to hire the best people. We need to find the best partners in the ecosystem. And so that's kind of like, it has nothing to really do with Starknet itself. It's really just kind of like a challenge of building the best product and building a company at the first place, because you need to learn new things all the time. You need to be agile enough to be able to, like, change a direction if an opportunity like this comes along. And so, yeah, the biggest challenge is always just getting the best people on board. And I think we have so far done it pretty well. And we just hope we're going to continue to scale from here. So if you have some really great people to recommend that we should hire, man, I would love to get your recommendations. And we do want to talk to people all the time. We have a lot of positions open, both on the engineering product side, but also on the marketing side of things. And we're just going to continue to scale up this team. And so, again, finding the best talent is always the hardest challenge for any company, I would say.
Sure. This partnership, I know you talked a lot about the partnership, but I'm just asking just for the future. Let's say 2 years from now, where do you see this partnership?
Man, I mean, I don't know. I think 2 years from now is a long time. I think a lot of things are going to happen in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think this year, 2025, it's end of March. So we're kind of like, going into the second quarter. And I still think we have a lot of time during this year to actually ship a lot of different updates and upgrades, and have a lot of other people to launch their protocols and to make improvements to things that have been circulating in the Bitcoin ecosystem for the past like 18 months, maybe 12 to 18 months. And so I think that's going to be amazing, because I think, again, collectively, we're going to make a lot of progress. We're going to see what works, what doesn't. And so, I think 2 years from now, what I would like to see is really, kind of more alignment of the Bitcoin ecosystem, where things are going, see a lot more innovations, either coming from us or from Starknet or from the Starknet builders or from even all the other builders. And again, like I think in terms of the soft fork, I think it's happening. I don't know when. I think that this year we may actually land on some more alignment again in the conversations and kind of see what people like and dislike about those specific proposals, and maybe see which proposal is gonna be the chosen one, and that will also like push things forward, right? Like the soft fork itself, of course, it would be bullish if it happens this year, but it doesn't even have to happen. If we can get some sort of alignment and more get closer to the consensus on like which direction we should go, that alone is gonna instill a lot of confidence in the builders. And it's going to allow people to be more focused. Like, okay, so I know what's potentially coming, so I need to focus on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so that's going to create a lot of opportunities in the space. And so, yeah, I think in the next 2 years, it's going to be really exciting. I think, obviously, I cannot control the market. I don't know where the crypto market overall is going to go and is going to be in 2 years from now. But I can say from the builder point of view, from the ecosystem point of view, I think we're going to be a lot larger in 2 years from now. And Xverse and Starknet are going to contribute to it very, very substantially.
Oh, great. Jan, it's been a pleasure having you and having you talk about everything that you've mentioned. I do a little bit of thing called the rapid fire session. So I'm just going to ask you quick questions, and I hope you give me one-line answers.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Favorite Bitcoin upgrade ever?
Sorry?
What's your favorite Bitcoin upgrade ever?
Man, it's hard. I just think any upgrade that is, that is productive and that is done well, it's something that I'm for,
Oh, fair. Coffee or espresso?
Coffee. I don't do espresso too much. Just Americano or just normal coffee.
Fair enough. One word for Starknet's future.
Starknet's future?
Yeah, one word for it.
One word. Well, then I would say Opcat.
Nice one. Thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time as well.
Yeah. Thank you. If you are as excited about the future of Starknet as we are, make sure to hit on the subscribe button, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's keep the conversation going on how to grow the Starknet ecosystem. Bye for now.